Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're jumping back into our life. Last we left off, we just finished a boat trip. So without further ado, let's hop into this next one. Alright everybody, let's hop into the next one. Um, I think we do the late shift. After lunch you ran into Baxter. He was more than happy for an impromptu hangout in your neighborhood. He idly spoke about the first time he bought a shirt online. Apparently, the website hadn't been in English, so he had made do with the automatic online translations. His unique fashion sense was electric in more ways than one. Finding out how he filled out his wardrobe answered some of your questions about his look. He smiled in fond remembrance. I measured myself multiple times to make sure I could order the correct size. It wasn't as if I'd be able to ship it back if there were problems. But to make a long story short, it arrived in one piece multiple months later. At this point, I wasn't going to complain. It was a physical object in my hands. He gestured with his arms for emphasis as he did. Baxter glanced at his wrist at a watch that wasn't there. Anyways, I hope I'm not taking too much of your time with this. You were currently taking it easy for a bit. You had to get ready before you had to get ready for work. You had an unusual closing shift today at your job. Well, I would have the time right now. I just have to work later. It's kind of weird. I don't usually close today, but what can you do? Baxter nodded understandingly. He was more interested than you had expected him to be. What do you do? Public library. I work at a tropical restaurant place. I work at a mall kiosk to sell phone cases. Library. He grinned as if you had just said you had an exciting career as a movie star. Interesting.
Well,
Now that I know where and when you work, does that mean I should avoid visiting the place at that time? Or should I conveniently happen to bump into you during your shift? You chuckled at his directness. He really could be straightforward sometimes. Wouldn't mind seeing you there. I'd absolutely love to hang a distraction during my shift. Doesn't matter to me, we show up or not. I'm going to be pretty busy working. Avoid it. You said nothing. I'd absolutely love having a distraction during my shift. Sometimes you need a little excitement at work. He tilted his head with excitement in his eyes. Then I might have another stop to make on my outing this evening. Thanks, Baxter. I gotta get going. Good luck, Ari. He waved at you. As you peeled off towards your house, you reached your front door and gave Baxter one final nod before you went inside. You finished preparing early. You prepared on time. You were late. Rushed to keep up. I always get ready early. It didn't take you long to change into your uniform. You made sure your hair was clean, and you gave her professional-looking self thumbs up in the mirror. You casually went back outside, ready to. You felt satisfied at the time. If things went to plan, you would be at work with time to spare, just as you like. We drive. You unlocked the family car and climbed in. After you turned the key, you were off to another day of work. You arrived at the building and went in as a leisurely place. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary that day. Joe spotted you immediately. He was in the middle of taking a stack of books to the front desk. He smiled warmly at you and set the pile down. They were mostly children's science books about birds. Hey, Cove. Have any books escaped today? A few, but I have it on authority that they will be back soon. With greetings taken care of, you prepared to get your shift officially started. The first thing you had to deal with was putting away some books that someone had left on a study table. Most of them were about bugs, so you took them to the science section. You wondered what the person had been researching. As you looked at the titles, you slid each book into place. Maybe it was a science project on insects. You checked the last book and smiled. You suddenly had a pretty good idea. With the life cycle of lightning bugs safely put back into place, you went on to your next task. Most work in the library was like that. You'd put things away, organized, unpacked new arrivals, tried to keep the place neat. Sometimes you answered people's questions. You did whatever you were told, really. You were happy with your job. You didn't think your job was bad. You were only working there because you couldn't find something better. You could barely stand working there. We were happy with the job. You enjoyed what you did. It made you feel productive, and it paid a great job all around. After time passed, you got really into your work zone. You barely noticed the hours go by. During a slow moment, you heard a distinct, familiar voice. Excuse me. You turned your head and saw Baxter sauntering towards you. He really did turn up just to visit. Baxter, I was starting to wonder if you were going to show. Look around and take it all in. He grinned with a tilt of his head. Is it a good time? Yeah, I'm not too busy right now.
excellent.
When you saw his eyes search the place, clearly never having been before, you were both standing in the sci-fi section surrounded by colorful spines with authors' names in large white print. Baxter gave them a courtesy glance. I wonder if I can check something out despite not being someone who actually lives in this town. I've never been to a local library like this. I've only visited school libraries and privately owned ones. Really? I'm flattered that seeing me was worth breaking your no public library streak. Saying something like that makes you sound really spoiled. You need to start going to local libraries more often. Ugh. Of course it was well worth it. Though you never answered my question. Am I able to get something ready to read for the summer, or am I barred from borrowing? You can, as long as you get a library card and return the book before you move back. He looked genuinely excited. He flashed a smile at you. Then there's only one thing to do. Would you mind helping me get set up? With that, you slipped back into customer service mode. He raised an eyebrow at your cheery expression. That won't be a problem at all, sir.
Not
Sir,
bad.
that works for me. You and Baxter spent a little more time together chatting about what he should get. Eventually, the decision was made, and he was off to explore more of the town. You were glad he came by. It was a nice break from the real customers, but you had to get back to your usual task. You checked the clock set high on the wall. With how late it was time for your meal break. You breathed a sigh of relief and left your station. You found a quiet spot to eat and tried to decompress a little. You pulled out your phone to check your notifications. After a while, you plugged in your headphones and propped your phone on its side so you could watch videos while you eat. You had the advantage of being able to use both hands that way. Put on music, watched a Let's Play, you found something funny, checked a tutorial video, stumbled onto a video about cuttlefish. I would probably watch something funny. You tried to contain your laughter at it, not wanting anyone to hear you from across the room. You inhaled shakily, a smothered giggle. The video really had some golden moments. Before you knew it, you were out of food and out of time. You cleaned up after yourself and went back to work. Customers continued trickling in, even though it was getting closer to closing time. Before you could jump back into your work, you felt your phone buzz. Your pocket had to be a text message, but there was no way you could check it now. Shaking the distraction off, you quickly fell back into the rhythm of things. There was still plenty of tasks to be done. You were filling some papers when you noticed movement out of the corner of your eye. Glancing up, you saw someone stopping at the counter. Excuse me, do you have any tissues back there? Yes, we do. I can grab that in just a second. Turning back, you were doing sort of fast pace. When you were almost done, there was a loud thump on the counter. Someone had unceremoniously dumped a stack of books, presumably expecting you to put them away. You tried to spot the culprit, but there wasn't anyone in sight other than the person from before. They must not have stopped for a moment to see if you were able to take them. Ultimately, it didn't matter. The books did. With a frown, you started collecting them into your arms. Staring at you a moment, another hand reached from across the counter and picked up one of the books. Tan, with the faint lines of scars trailing around the forearm, Cove's mouth rolled into a silent smile, one that you couldn't help but match. He stretched over the counter, and together you had the books sorted and ready to be shelved quickly. Then he strolled off with a wave to you from behind. He had his own tasks to take care of. When those were out of the way, the quiet sounding of a finger tapping brought your attention back. The person waiting for you off to the side, your face warmed. The last few minutes pushed them completely out of your mind. They were in need of tissues. The box of tissue was in plain sight when you slid in nearby back room. The seconds later, you were back at the counter with your finest customer service smile. You went over to where the library patron was waiting. I'm so sorry about the wait. You held the box of tissues out to them. Their gaze glanced down at the box. Thanks. They took a couple tissues, balled them up into their fists before you could ask if they needed anything else. They were already walking away. Soon enough, they disappeared between the shelves, and you were already trying to push the whole event out of your mind. You were just glad the interruption hadn't made you forget what you were doing. Your body was starting to tire out from the busyness of today. Luckily, you had one more short break. You took a seat and finally checked those messages from earlier. There was one from Mom. Would you mind stopping by the grocery store on your way home to pick up some asparagus and peppers for dinner tomorrow? I can't make it myself. Deadlines are tight right now. Thank you. Have a great day. You sigh, you shake your head in frustration, you shrugged. You didn't mind the request. You were happy to do it. It wasn't what you were expecting to do today, but it was totally fine. Your mom was always working hard. You wondered how her day was going. Hopefully much better than yours, you thought, texting back. You said, yeah, I can do that. You weren't expecting her to text back anytime soon, though you did already get a thanks for it. For another minute, you stretched your arms high above your head and imagined how nice falling into bed later was going to be. You sighed. Hopefully your shift would go by in the blink of an eye. You jumped back into the rhythm of things. The last of the customers had finally exited the building. It was time to close. When all the doors were locked, you exhaled loudly. The whole place was officially closed. You were worn down, you felt relieved, you were pumped that you were done. Your mind was still stuck on the incident that happened earlier. It was okay, you thought. Not the worst you've seen. Pumped. It was satisfying. An electrifying second wind momentarily energized you. You were ready to enjoy the rest of your day, what little was left before bed. Glancing over at Cove, you saw he was in the middle of stretching his arms out over his head. He was so clearly ready to lie down, so you wondered if he would be able to open his eyes when he was done, but he did and turned to you. Whew. Ugh. I need water. Yeah. He was exhausted from working so much overtime, though you could still see sparks of how excited he was to be done for the day. It's probably the only thing that kept him on his feet. You wiped your brow, you yawned. I've survived another day. I've successfully gotten that money. How you doing? I survived another day. It was always worth relishing in little victories. Cove chuckled, watching you with an amused look. He clearly heard every word, but that didn't bother you. The corner of your mouth pulled into a small smile. Casually, his eyes surveyed the room. You know, hanging out in a shop when it's closed always feels kind of weird to me. Even though I work here, being in a locked place when the public isn't allowed just seems wrong. Feel the exact same way? You're the weird one? Are you worried someone's going to call the cops on you? Huh, hadn't thought of that. It makes me feel special. Really? Yeah, we have the place completely to us and other employees, but still we're allowed to be here while everyone else isn't. That's cool. Cove blinked slowly, and you swore that you could see the gears turning in his head. Yeah, okay, I can understand that. It's still strange to me. But anyways, are you ready to head home now? Actually, I have to run an errand for my mom. Where to? The grocery store. Mom texted me earlier asking if I could pick up a couple things. Oh. I hope it goes good. Thanks. Bye, Cove. See you. You got yourself together for the last trip out for the evening, and then you stepped out into the night. The trip to the nearby 24-hour grocery store was brief, familiar, and peaceful. You arrived in the blink of an eye. There was salty smell in the air as you strolled through the dim parking lot. The local burger joint on the other side of the pavement guaranteed the place always smelled like french fries. Your eyes squinted at the change of light when you made it inside the building. You scanned the front room for a basket you could use. A full cart wasn't necessary. You were keeping things quick. You felt responsible having your parents rely on you. You were already looking forward to tomorrow's dinner. It was overwhelmed how much you had to take care of. You couldn't stand the thought of making it longer. That's all there was to it. Looking forward to tomorrow's dinner. You'd make sure the ingredients you selected were divine. You found the basket, but as you reached down to grab one, a call came in. You shifted to take the basket with the other hand and bring your phone to your ear with the other. Assuming your mom had something else to say, you got the answer immediately. Hey, Mom. Oh, I'm not your mother. Oh, Terry, sorry. I'm at the store picking up things for my mom, and I thought, well, you know.
We're cool.
No sweat. You get the one free pass for embarrassingly calling me the wrong person mom in life. But if you do it again, you'll never hear the end of it. Thanks. I've got other things on my plate right now than that potential disaster. I think it's serious business what you're doing right now. Have I ever gone to the grocery store without one of my parents? I don't know. Me neither, but it's likely no. Really, never? It's not that bad. You should try it. That's really weird, you know. Didn't comment. Not bad. You should try it. Maybe someday. But hey, if you're in the trenches to gather supplies on your own, I can keep you company through the magical of cell service. You snickered at her phrasing. She was already making the outing less dull. All right, we can talk.
Woo!
Good choice. Now be my eyes. I need to help you pick stuff. I see how that goes. You can continue to chuckle and chat as you headed over to the vegetable section. Thanks to Terry trying to guess what was what based on your description, you had one of your most entertaining errands run quite in a while. It was a good way to end an eventful day. So short. So short because we didn't have romantic moments with Cove. But that's fine. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, remember to hit like and subscribe and come back because we haven't finished this step yet and you want to see the end of the step, right? That way we can get back into some Derek DLC. It'll be good. I've never played it. I actually haven't played it. But I hope you'll come back to see it. Anyway, I won't take up any more of your time. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye bye.